Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of England, she is 96 years old, and she's under medical supervision for the time being. Don't know any other details at this time. And the British royal family is probably the only monarchy I still have respect for. They're not a true monarchy where they have official rule over the entire nation in totality, but I think they play an important role in their country's politics, and I think it's meaningful to continue that. So our prayers go out to Queen Elizabeth and her family, because it's tough anytime you look at things like, she's had one of the longest reigns as a queen, as a leader, queens or kings alike, I guess. And being 96, okay, like, you've had a very long, good life, but it's still sad to see such a high-profile figure like her in this state, I guess. So there's that news. And I think the family will continue on if and when that time comes, in whatever way they're supposed to. They're kind of weeding out the garbage when it comes to certain princes and their wives. But, fine. Life will move on. And when concerning families, there's a big win out of New York, of all places. New York, a judge just ruled that there is a Christian-based adoption service, and they ruled in favor of the organization that they do not need to allow adoptions for single parents or same-sex couples. The reason this is a big win is because children thrive. They thrive. They have the most opportunity. They have the most ability. They get the best education when it comes to having a family where there is a mother, a female mother, and a father, a male father. I can't believe we live in a day and age where I have to specify that the mother is female and the father is male, or that I have to encourage people to think it is important that two parents exist in the home. However, we live in a really crazy and turbulent time where that is the case. And it's important to note that it matters. Crime is running rampant in our cities. There are many minority communities near and within cities. Now, it's not the fact that minority people are criminals. The reality is they statistically have fewer fathers and even father figures in the lives of the children. It's the same thing when we think about how the world is going with the relationship to God. You see that there's less of a relationship with God throughout the nation, and there's a closer relationship to licentiousness. People call it liberty, they call it freedom, but it's really doing whatever the heck you want, regardless of, or even encouraging the fact that there will not be consequences. It's the same thing with having a father or not. If there's no father in the home, there's a lack of consequences. Not because mothers are incapable, but because it does take two parents to raise children. You have to have someone who can be the loving shoulder to cry on, the arms to run to, the one to teach you. And you have to have someone who can encourage you, build you up, strengthen you, and understand your discipline. There are two sides, and people assume those roles, and traditionally, biologically, it's more natural for the mother to be the caregiver and the father to be the disciplinarian. That's not the role you have to take. I really prefer to be the loving father that I can, and I work hard to make sure my children know they can come to me, they can come to their mother with anything. They can go to us. Me and my wife, we're a partnership when it comes to our children. And that has been the best thing for our relationship, for our marriage, is having children. It has really let us find ourselves, and we have a higher purpose now. You take out those elements, having two dads, let's say, a same-sex couple. You have that. Okay, you might have a father figure, but those individuals have some issues of their own that they should work out. They have an intimacy issue. They have an issue with the opposite sex. I don't know why the percentage of people who are homosexual has gone up the way it has. And it has gone up. So it leads me to think that maybe it's not just how people are born, it really is society encouraging a certain way of life. There are many people who are homosexual, in recent years especially, have come out saying, even though they are that way, and they feel that way, and they think that way, they don't believe it's right. And they're now working through that aspect of it. I'd say I'm not here to judge. It's hard not to have an opinion. It's hard not to think. I'm not going to judge in a way of saying that if you are in a same-sex relationship that it's wrong and you shouldn't do it, and I'm going to work hard to encourage you to abandon your ways. I would like to help people, but I'm just not that influential. And I have my own problems I need to work through. My own bad ways I need to abandon. So, in that sense, I am a little bit more of this, past 30, 40-year Republican life of, hey, you do you. Leave me out of it. Leave it out of our schools. Stop encouraging this. Stop having pride parades. But, in the privacy of your home, I really don't care. Although I've found myself more going, no, I do care, because you will not let it go. You keep having a month devoted to one of the 7 deadly sins, that is pride. You keep marching in the streets and having drag story hour for kids at libraries, public-funded libraries. You have all of this indoctrination in schools and encouraging people through psychology, and you call it gender-affirming care, but it's not care. And this all spawns from the family. We can circle back to the fact that if there is not a structure of family, a mother and a father in the home, there is already a destructive way ahead of those children's lives. And that destruction unravels. Unlike most people, in high school, things were okay, or they were rough. You had good days, you had bad, and I had things to work through. And in those things I had to work through, I didn't have an outlet of gender-affirming care. I had an outlet of, you better get involved in your sports. I had an outlet of, you better pray on it. I had an outlet of, how about you join the youth group and get involved with the church? Those distractions, those outlets, those extracurricular activities are what helped me move on from my issues and outgrow my issues. Now, my issues weren't related to my sexuality in any way, but they were related to what a lot of teens go through. Thinking I'm not good enough. Finding reasons to say that, is this life worth living? And that is not the reality for anyone. You can't think that way, but most of us do. We do have that doubt. We do have that issue where we think this of ourselves. We put ourselves through that horrible emotion. Now the outlet is veer your direction towards your sexuality. Change who you are. If you're not good enough, it's because you're in the wrong body. That's not the case. It's wait another day. Learn and grow. Find an outlet. Find an extracurricular. Get involved in your church. Learn an instrument. Sing in choir. Do a sport. All of these things which I did. Join scouts. Community theater. There's so much you can do. Don't sit in your room on your phone or on your laptop or tablet. Don't stew in your own sorrows. Look to your parents. Look to the family. And in New York, there's a huge win for families. They're actually strengthening the future, because the future is our children. That has never changed, and it never will. So we need to take care of them.